There we go. Hey, what up, everybody? It's Shami D in the place to be. And today, as part of the For the Culture series, we are talking about Shmoney talk, how to handle your finances in today's age. Well, as DJs, because right now it's kind of crazy. It's crazy times. And because of the virus, it's really shifted how a lot of us make money. It's shifted how a lot of us handle money, and what we need to do moving forward. And so I wanted to organize this because I feel I talked to a lot of DJs over the weekend, been emailing back and forth, and I've heard the range. Some people are doing just fine, and some people are really close to catastrophic means. And so to kind of see how the spread has only revealed to me that the coronavirus has revealed whether or not your financial planning has really worked for you. So do you handle money well? If not, here's where we're starting to see the holes of where you can improve. So if the situation happens again in the future, where we hit some sort of global issue, global pandemic, or even if we hit a recession in the years to come, that you as a creative, you as a DJ are better prepared financially to weather the storm. And you're not panicking. Because when we panic, we don't make good decisions. And a large part of that is based on how we are financially. And so we are fortunate today to have the amazing Sarah with us say your company again.
Mondown Credit Solutions.
Yes. So she has shared with me some tips that I thought would be very valuable for you as DJs to think about moving forward in talking about budgeting. So before we get to you, Sarah, I just want to say that this is not a substitute for proper financial planning. Mm-hmm. So this whole talk is for educational purposes and to get you thinking about how you handle money. One of the things that some governments are doing is subsidizing the people. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I know the US is considering handing out $1,000 checks, $2,000 checks to people, but you can't always depend on the government to help you out. You have to find your own way to be self-sustainable financially. And essentially what we're going to talk about today is how you need to be proactive about your money. So what I was mentioning before, what this crisis is showing us is it's helping you to understand what your current situation is. Are you able to float comfortably right now? Are you saddled in debt? Is money a high concern right now because of the lack of work that we're facing as DJs? I'm not here to judge your situation. We're not here to judge what's happening. We're here to say, let's take an honest assessment of what's going on with you now financially so you can make the proper adjustments going forward. So where are the holes in your current situation? These are things that I want you to be asking yourself as DJs. Do you have savings for moments like this? Are you financially covered for at least a month, ideally 3 months minimum? What are the things, if not, what are the things you need to have in place to prepare yourself for the next time something like this happens? And what do you need, more critically, what do you need right now to be okay for the next month? I also want to look at how you should make adjustments in your plan. Do you need to save more? Do you need to have investments? Do you need to make more money? So when moments like these, because this will pass, pandemics don't last for 30 years. When this moment passes, this really gives us an opportunity to reset how we work, to reset how we think about our finances. It is an opportunity for you to create a new system that works for you financially. First of all, do you even have a system in place? Most of us don't. So if you don't, that's really something to consider. And if you do have a system, does it allow you to live the lifestyle you want while being able to invest and create savings for a moment like this? So I pass it over to Sarah. We had a wonderful conversation earlier today about if you need money right now, what can you do? So Sarah, please enlighten us.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. I wanted to come on and give you like 3 tips of ways to start saving money now, right? last week, I don't know if anyone was like this, but I couldn't quite get motivated, or, you know, really I was kind of shocked about like what was going on. And so I couldn't get motivated to think about the future, where this week it seems a little bit more level-headed of like, okay, so now what do I need to do in order to get through this right now, right? So I have a couple of thoughts. First, make a budget. I know that can seem overwhelming, but basically I would take an Excel spreadsheet and I want you to write down every single thing that you spend, whether it's rent or your gas that you know put in your car, your utilities, whatever it is. You write every single thing down. Go to the nitty gritty of, do you pay for your laundry and you need $10 worth of coins, you know, per week, whatever that is. You have to do every single thing. You might need to go back to your credit cards, you know, to see what is my monthly bills, you know, what am I spending for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I want you to go through and look, okay, so how much money do I need per week to get by? Like, especially for right now, what is the minimum that you can do? You know, if you have some money coming in, okay, so how do I use that money wisely to be able to save for, you know, rent or whatever that you need, you know, you must absolutely pay for, right? Those certain things. And so look at that. So you have your budget, you figure out how, you know, how much money you actually need to have to survive. And that gives you an idea of what you're spending. I think it's actually a great tool to use even when you're not in this situation, just to kind of go and like figure out, oh my gosh, I'm spending this much money on Amazon or whatever it is that you're spending your money on. And you might be like, okay, I need to cut that back.
Mm-hmm.
But it just gives you a clear picture of like what your finances are like when you actually write them down. And so this can definitely help you for the future. And I know you may say, okay, I don't have any money coming in, so how do I even budget? Well, that even shows you even more the money that you might have saved, how you need to be spending it, because you have to be so wise in this time right now of if you don't have any money coming in. The other thought also with budgeting is like looking through maybe some memberships that you have and like consider canceling them, whether it's obviously you're not going to the gym anymore, but you might be able to look into, has it been frozen? Are you still paying for it? Like what are you actually still paying for? And you might have to cancel some things and make some tough decisions, right? Like, you know, you need to be able to survive. And so you might have to cut back on some certain things. And also, like, if you need a job, there are places that are hiring. They may not be jobs that you want to do for the rest of your life, but it might give you enough money if you can't get unemployment or, you know, whatever it is, and you desperately need money. You know, I saw like flyers saying like Instacart is hiring, and grocery stores are desperately hiring, and even Zoom. I think I heard they are actually hiring because everyone is using Zoom right now. So
Right.
like there are some jobs if you absolutely need it. There are some things. I also wanted to point out, like if you live in LA, I know other places are probably doing the same thing, but like there's for people that work in restaurants that are not working right now or have lower hours, they're actually handing out free meals. Like look into those things of
Right.
maybe there's something in your area that is giving you, you know, free meals that you can go and get, or free groceries. Like take those advantages and go and use that right now, right? So that's making the budget, right?
Now,
A
but
couple,
I
yes,
want to touch on budget real quick. Why is
yes.
it so important for people to have a budget?
Well, I think we spend more than we have sometimes. So you
Mhm.
need to know, okay, so like say we're not in this scaled down budget, right?
Mhm.
In general, you want to be putting in money for clothing that you're buying. You want to be putting in for repairs for your car. Like you want to be putting away money that so that you know like how much you're actually spending, and then you have that money when you need it. Like say your car breaks down and now you can go into that fund that you have for repairs, and you have the money and you're not strapped of, you know, where do I get this from? Like you said, like having 3 months or more of this budget that shows you how much you need to be making. And especially as, you know, a DJ or a creative, you need to know these things of like, okay, so I need to have this many jobs in order to pay for this lifestyle, right? So you have to know your finances, especially in this industry, to know what you need, you know, how many jobs, what you need to be doing in order to live that lifestyle.
Absolutely. So if you have your budget, if I can rephrase what you're saying.
Yes.
So let's say if you you crunch your numbers and you have a budget of, okay, I need between rent, food, all the bare necessities, cell phone technically, I guess, arguably is a necessity, right? But let's just say it is, because we got to communicate.
It is.
Everything I need between that, and I'm coming up with a $3,000 a month number.
Right.
So then I need to know, okay, if I booked 3 weddings at $1,000 a month, then I'm going to hit that number for expenses. And if I want to save money, then I need to, or save on top of that, I need to put that $500 a month. Then my figure jumps up to $3,500. And I know I'll need to book a private party at $500 to hit these numbers. Or I need to do 7 gigs at $500. Like, you can chop up the math however you want to, but what I'm hearing is that then it gives you an idea of how to target your goals for what the kind of income you need to make.
And it gives you, I know that at the beginning, it may seem like it's constricting and like, why would you want to be able to, you know, have to live by like these strict rules, but in the end, it's freeing because you know that you have that money for times like this. You know that you have that money that you can pull on and be like, okay, I have done my diligence of like making this budget and sticking with this budget. And now I can reap the rewards of like having that freedom.
Totally. Yeah, it's ironic, but there is freedom and discipline. There is freedom and discipline.
It's hard at first. I get it, especially because ideally, like, you would want to almost go to like a cash, like not use credit cards at all. Get out cash each week, get your weekly budget of like, okay, I'm taking this amount out and I'm putting it in these piles of whatever you say they are, of rent and utilities and gas for your car and repairs or whatever that is. And you put those in envelopes and you know that, okay, I have $100 in food for this week. That's how much I have to spend. So like, use it wisely. Don't go out and spend, you know, one night of using, you know, getting a steak dinner. And then you're like, well, what am I eating for the rest of the week?
Right.
It just gives you an idea of like how much money you actually have to spend.
And how to be more responsible with your money.
It is. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, please. What's your next point?
Okay. So the next one is like thinking through of like saving money of taxes. So like for me, I'm self-employed. I'm a private chef for the most part. And so like with my private chef business, I'm self-employed. So I have to pay taxes, right? I don't know what you are, if you are self-employed and so have to pay, you know, you have to save. That's another thing to budget for. Don't get to tax time and then realize, oh, I have this $8,000 bill that where is this coming from, right? You have to start putting aside each paycheck or each month or each week, whatever you decide you must put away for taxes. Anyway, so they have pushed that deadline back to June 15th. So maybe don't file your taxes right now. Like maybe save that money that if you might need it, you have that money. On the other hand, if maybe you work another job and you have a W-2 and you get money back, maybe you file it now so you can get that money coming back in. Like that's just a thought, right? Lastly is adjusting your loans if necessary. I know in the past few days, they've actually done a lot with student loans, like federal student loans. So you can start deferring right now. I think, you know, you can kind of decide that whether it's 1 month, 2 month, whatever that is, like start deferring, right? Save that money if you really need to, right? Right now they've decided to do 0 interest for 60 days, which is huge. And they actually might end up doing that longer. So you don't know, but at least right now it's 60 days. If you decide, okay, I still have money, I want to keep paying on my student loans just to get them down, like that's smart, I get it. The cool thing too is with the no interest, that also goes with you as well. So you have like, when you pay your say your monthly, what you pay for on your student loans is 300. Well, part of that money actually goes to interest, and then part of that goes to the principal, the actual loan. Well, this entire time, while there's no or zero interest, it's all going to the principal. So you actually can knock it out faster. So if you have money laying around, maybe now's the time to like even bump up and try to get it done and get this debt off of your plate, right? I know that student loans are huge. There's also a place of studentaid.gov that you need to probably go to on a yearly basis, and you put in your annual income, and then that will actually like show you how much you should be paying. And maybe you're paying too much for your annual income. Like maybe you need to bump it down. So go to there, see, you know, if that helps. And yeah, those are my 3 ideas of like saving money right now. So
that's great. That's great. I appreciate that, those tips, because it's one thing to say you have to reassess your financial plan, but if right now you're scrambling for money, then it's hard to think about, well, I need to start saving money when nothing is coming in right now.
No,
So
I mean, you can't be saving money at the moment if nothing's coming in. Exactly. Right now, you need to like focus on the budget and those saving, you know, ways to save some money. You know, those are the things that are important. So
absolutely. And like all of us DJs or people that self-employed people, personnel, I don't know what the phrase would be, but if like those of us who are self-employed, we have a different way of handling money. We don't get paid every 2 weeks.
Right.
So it creates an interesting dynamic for us that we have to now figure out a way to manage how income comes in and how bills get paid. Cabby, shout outs to you. Thanks for checking this out, brother. And hi, Arlene. I saw you hopped on earlier. This is the thing that, here's the problem that most people that start DJing and get paid right away, you'll get paid, you make money, and you spend it. And you might spend it on whatever, you spend it. It's just gone. 400 comes in, 400 goes out. And if you work for yourself, that way of handling money is going to backfire when the tax man cometh. And trust me, Uncle Sam gonna come. If it ain't April 15th, it's gonna be June 15th now, you know, but if it ain't June 15th, you file an extension, it's about to be October 15th. Like they gonna get their money. So you have to manage that. And one of the ways to manage these things is creating a system of tracking your gigs and expenses. On Thursday, I'm going to talk about taxes and tracking numbers and whatnot, so that you have an idea. I can share with you how I've been doing it so you get a sense of how to do it. But it's critical for you, because if you get 1099, the company that gives you that 1099 is reporting to the IRS that they have paid you X amount of money. So that money has to be accounted for. And if you can't account for it, there's going to be a problem. So the question then comes up, how are you currently managing your money? And if you have ideas on any of these things, Sarah, please chime in. So the first question that Sarah addressed is, do you have a budget? Right? Like she said, know how much the essentials are going to cost you. And when you're looking at making money as a DJ, you want your expenses to be about 60% of your income. So if your budget is $2,500 in a month, then you want to be, that's a bad number. I should make it a more round number. If you're bringing in, let's say $2,000 a month, then you want your living expenses to be roughly $1,200. And that leaves you $800 to work with to save money for taxes and to save for yourself. Right? So you want to know that, okay, this comes in and there's a system that allocates to each section. And within the section that your living expenses cover, all that has to be accounted for. So analyze what kind of money is coming in, and then you allocate the income to the appropriate bills, right? So here's some things to consider. Number one, we have irregular incomes. As a DJ, I might have, summer might be an incredible month or incredible time period, and then the beginning of fall might get super quiet. I might have 2 gigs in the fall. And so we have to account for the ups and downs. There are wedding seasons. In general, with entertainment, it always goes well until mid-December, then things quiet down during the Christmas holidays, and then they pick up mid to late January. So there's always that downtime outside of New Year's, because we should be working New Year's, but there is that downtime that we have to account for. Do you have enough money for when January bills come through? Or are you spent it all on Christmas gifts, right? You have to be thinking about these things and manage for the inconsistencies. You also have to minimize frivolous spending. So yeah, it might be nice to get the latest Jordans, but if it doesn't work within your budget, if you're getting overdrawn in your checking account, if you can't pay your cell phone bill, let's reassess what's really important for you in the time being. Also, managing your credit card spending. Sarah did touch on this. If you spend on credit cards, you want to pay your balances off in full each month. And you want to be careful of losing money to finance charges and interest when you can't pay your bills in full each month, because that's just money you're losing. It's just you're giving that away to the banks. So these are some things to look at when you are taking in your budget as a whole, and you want to work toward achieving your financial goals. So what are your goals? Are they paying off debt? Are they saving money to have a nest egg for emergencies like this? If you want to save for a nest egg, ideally you want to have 3 months worth of living expenses saved up. So if your living expenses are $1,200 out of your $2,000 budget, because your budget includes money for investment, savings, and taxes, then you want to save at least $3,600 so that you know you're accounted for at least 3 months. You don't have to worry and freak out. The other goal that you might want to consider is investing for the future. And in the coming weeks, there'll be another webinar on that, which would be really important for you in building long-term wealth, or if not that, then at least securing yourself for the future. Now, one of the things I wanted to share today is, what is your financial plan moving forward? You have to have a system. As an independent contractor, as a self-employed professional, what system do you have in place to set you up financially long-term? You can be a 6-figure DJ, but you won't be a 6-figure DJ for long if you're spending all this money and not saving up for moments like now. If you're making a lot of money, it's your fiduciary responsibility, which that's more applicable toward bankers and investors, but you have to have your own financial fiscal responsibility to yourself to set yourself up, and your family, if you have a family, to be prepared in moments of crisis or in moments of emergency. So what I'm looking at for you is a way for you to eventually gain financial independence. So here's my system. Early on, my mom works for an accounting firm. So when I started making money post-college, I'd always have to have my taxes in by the 15th. Right? She was like strict about that, of course, rightfully so. But then I started figuring out, oh, well, I need to start putting money away for taxes, because before I was getting money, and then, oh, now I saw that I had to start paying. So then I realized, all right, well, I had to create an account and put 30% of my money away for taxes. But I also wanted to save. So I created this system that I call the 60-40 approach. So with every check that comes in, I distribute money in this very specific way. 60% is what I work with for my budget. So whatever, if I get a $1,000 check, $600 will go to my own personal checking account. 30% goes to a business savings account for taxes, and it never gets touched until tax time. And so when you have that $8,000 bill by the IRS, you're not like, how am I going to do this? There's tons of stories. Kevin Hart shared a story that he came up $250,000. He got payday and spent all that money. He didn't know that the IRS was coming next year saying, you owe us, bro. And he's like, what? I just made what? And so they had, because he couldn't pay, they put a lien on his property, and they garnished his checks so that anytime he got paid, a portion of that went to the IRS. So these are things that I want to avoid, and that I'm bringing up to you so you can avoid these issues when you start making paydays, right? So 30% of that $1,000 that's coming in goes to a business savings account that never gets touched and is only used for taxes. And then I have 10% that I tuck away from my own personal savings. It's automatic. Money comes in, bing, 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 in the proper places with the proper amounts, right? I knew after a couple of years of doing that I said, I actually want to save more money. So I shift the percentages to 50-50, where I take 50% of each check for my living expenses. I save 20% for personal savings, and then I have my 30% for my business taxes. And it's come in clutch, because there have been moments where I've had unexpected bills to pay, a car issue that, all right, here's an $800 car bill because the transmission got screwed up. Well, cool. I have money tucked away for that purpose. And I don't, because we're not living necessarily paycheck to paycheck, we're living gig to gig. And I have this money secured for these purposes. I'm not freaking out, or I'm not in a worse situation because now the whole paycheck that I have has to go to the mechanic at this point. So it's all about planning. And I've run the system since I've started working independently. So at this point, it's just a habit on how I handle my money. Like if I know I'm going to get paid $1,000 for a gig, I know, okay, well, I just made $500 for the month. I just think that automatically because I've been doing that for this system for so long. So I know if I want to save up $10,000 over the course of the year, then I know, okay, I have to make $50,000 in order to save that 10, because I know I have to allocate 15 for taxes and 25 would be my living expenses. So it's all the percentage basis that you can shift and allocate based on the things that where you are, one, where you are in your life, and two, what your financial goals are. So with deposits, because deposits matter for us when we're doing a wedding, for example, you want to get a 50% deposit up front. Well, what do you do with that? Most people spend it. And it's no shame if you do that, right? Everybody has handled money in their specific way, and you might need your deposit to keep your business floating and continuing to move forward. You might use that deposit to pay for advertising. I've just made it a practice to never spend those deposits right away because I don't know what's going to happen between now and when the wedding happens or when the event happens. And so we're finding in this moment that there's a lot of people who are panicking. There's a lot of couples who they either can't reschedule their wedding or they have to cancel their wedding because of what's going on. They can't find another date, or just their plans have all fall apart and they want a refund. Well, even if your contract may say a non-refundable deposit, but at this time, there's a few different schools of thought on this. Some people are like, it's a non-refundable deposit. I need to keep my business going. And there's some people who are like, it's a time to empathize with your client because we're all in a screwed up situation right now. So maintain your empathy and maintain your humanity. And if you feel like it's appropriate for you to return the deposit to them, then do so. But if you can't right away, then figure out some kind of game plan for them. But to come back to how I handle deposits, so I never spend it. I have a special account just for deposits for circumstances like this. And they're very rare. I've only had to refund two wedding deposits because of crazy circumstances. But then once the wedding happens and I still have that deposit, then I allocate that to my 50% savings sections, right? So I wanted to share that with you because I don't think a lot of DJs or creatives really express how they manage their money and how they're able to stay afloat. It has taken me a very long time to get to this point and get it figured out where it runs on its own and it's comfortable and it's consistent, and I have no issues around it. But it takes a bit of management. It takes the skill set that Sarah was talking about in the beginning. Like that's the kind of discipline that you need to have in order to build up your financial muscles to get to a certain point where you have everything allocated, you have a nest egg, and you're comfortable and good to go. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'm also paying attention to Facebook to see if anybody has questions on things, but there's a few ways to approach this. And Sarah, I would love to hear your take on this. But if you have a lot of debt right now and are on the verge of bankruptcy, you're needing to pay major loans. If it's out of control, one of the things that has come up is, one, you can talk to banks or loan processors, I'm not sure, loan companies that have your loans, to see if you can have or create a payment plan, or see if you can get things deferred. I think because everybody is in a screwed up position right now, everybody is willing to make adjustments for what's going on. Do you find this to be true, Sarah?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So definitely ask. It's worth asking, right? Like, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, but it's definitely worth looking into if that's a necessity.
Definitely. The other thing that people can do is consolidate debts. And so I know you can talk to that because that's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, now is the time to be looking into that. Like, the interest rates are so low, like you need to be, you know, proactive of talking to your banks and figuring out, or the loan, you know, wherever you got your loan, looking into that, because that can save you a lot of money right now.
Yeah.
So be proactive in that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, just proactive is the key word.
It is.
If there's any time, if you are struggling right now, and I'm particularly talking to people who might be struggling, it's, you have to be proactive and talk to people to get your plan put together. Because if you just sit back and panic, nothing is going to get done and you'll just continue to stay where you are. This is not the time to panic. You really have to get your mind right so that you can start making better financial decisions for yourself, for your family, for your career. Okay? If you are able to manage in this time, and you have a little nest egg put away, then maybe right now you want to build up your savings while paying bills. If some people are able to work, and they may have a part-time job not related to DJing, so build your savings while working. The percentage proportions can change in your financial plan, however you decide to execute it. But that might be something to consider. If no money is coming in, then clearly, like, save as much as you can and then allocate depending on whatever it is your budget allows for. And some people might have very minimal debt. They may still be able to work because their work is considered essential right now by the government. I mean, if that's the case and you still have income coming in, like, you're very fortunate right now for sure. So you can still take this opportunity to build savings and invest money. And when it comes to investments, that your level of investment now is only depends on your capacity for risk. And so there's a lot of people kind of diving in now that the stocks are at an all-time low. If you have the money to do that, it is definitely suggested that you buy stocks, because this is a fantastic time to do it. This is how the wealthy get more wealthy, because they have the capability now to buy stocks when it's cheap, because it's only going to go up from here. One great resource that I highly, highly recommend is a book by Ramit Sethi called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Very cheap. It's like $8-9. It's on Amazon. You can buy the ebook. He has a great plan, or he walks you through a 6-week system that you can develop your own personal finance goals and cut down your debt. I think it's a great book. I read the first edition. He updated it recently. I browsed through it the other day. It's fantastic stuff. And I highly, 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 highly recommend it to anyone that wants to get their finances together. And that's all that I have. Very short and sweet, but hopefully poignant for everyone. Sarah, do you have thoughts?
I think that's it. I mean, I think you touched on a lot of it. I think going back to like right now, use your time wisely, of look into stocks and, you know, how you could invest, or, you know, do some research on things. Like, if you're not working, use this time to think about your finances and how you want to be setting up your business. Like you said, of putting it deciding how you want to run that, right? Like how do you want to do your 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever that is. Like, use this time wisely to think through those things, because you have the time, right? Like this, we're never really gonna have this time again. So it's a great time. And my business partner, Nate, and I
Hey.
are here. If you guys need help, like, I'm happy to go over. I know I gave you a PDF of
Yes.
kind of what I talked about, but like, we're here that if you want to talk and like figure things out or know more about actually how to do that budget. I know I kind of briefly went over it, but Nate and I are here. We're also here that for now and in the future of if you need help with credit repair, like you said, if you have a lot of debt and your credit scores, like that's a huge thing now to be able to be free to do what you want to do and grow that business and get those loans and buy the car or whatever that is that you want to do. Your credit score is definitely a huge thing for that. And so we're here that if, it may not be the right time right now, or maybe it is, to start working on your score and figuring out your debt and how to get your scores up. So we're here. We're definitely giving you guys a deal if you use your name. So like if you get in touch with us, we'll give you a deal on your credit repair. So we're here.
Absolutely. So I will send that out to anyone who's interested. Feel free to ping me. Email me, shami@spin-to-six.com, and I'd be more than happy to send you that PDF about Sarah's points on budgeting.
Yeah.
But Sarah, thank you so much for jumping on and having the conversation. When we had that conversation, I was like, oh my God, this is very critical and perfect for what people need to hear right now in case they might not be in the best situation.
Right.
And I thought it was really important to have a different voice come on and talk about that, especially since that is what you do.
Totally.
So thank you once again. I'll send out that PDF to those that want it. This continues our For the Culture series. We're going to do another one on Thursday where we're talking taxes. Taxes matter, people. If you want to buy a crib as a DJ, you have to have credit. That's what Sarah was referencing. Like cash gigs won't go so far for the IRS. They need to see very specific things. And the way they see that is if your taxes are on point and if your credit's looking good. And that's why we're having that discussion, because it's important to have. And tune in on Thursday and we'll go from there. Also tomorrow, I have an open coaching call for all DJs that just want to hop on and ask questions about anything related to the game. If it is finances, if you want to talk about scratching, live streaming, getting more clients, come through on the call and we're going to have a roundtable discussion on your questions. All right. Until next time, y'all. Thanks so much. Peace.